am back with another video today, and I'm here to talk about the differences between Canada and New Zealand. Just a little bit of background knowledge. My mom is from New Zealand. She was born and raised here, so that makes me half Kiwi. My dad is Canadian, makes me half Canadian. I've been able to come to this country 8 times over the 18 years that I have been alive, and I have loved every second of being here. It's just such a beautiful country, and there's so much to learn here. It's like a vacation and an education all in one. I thought that I'd just sit down with you guys today and talk about some of the things that I've noticed over my trips here, and to sort of compare them to what it's like back home in Canada. It is a different country, so obviously there are different things here that happen and how things work. So I just wanted to make sure that this video is not being like dissing. It's just things that I have noticed. I love both of my homes very, very much, and the opportunities that I have been given. So without further ado, why don't we get into the video? So I thought that it would be a cool way to start the video off by explaining slang that they use here, because some of it is very, very different from what we use in Canada. I've got a huge list of things here that I'm going to explain. Yeah, let's hop right into some of the slang. So in Canada, sandals are sandals, they're flip-flops, they're things you wear to the beach. Here they're called jandals. A swimsuit, which would be just, you know, a bathing suit, are togs here. The boot is the trunk of a car. Chili bin here is known as a cooler back home in Canada. It's something you keep your cold drinks in, it's something you keep your lunch in. A jumper is a sweater. A mate is a good friend or a buddy of yours. A kiwi is 2 things here. A kiwi bird is their national bird. It's a little fuzzy, little brown, flightless bird. They live in the forest. They eat grubs and little insects, and they're not out in the open. They're nocturnal birds, so they don't come out until the nighttime. And I've unfortunately never seen one in person. G'day means hello. It's a greeting, like hi, how are you? A batch is a summer home somewhere down by a lake. You have like a little mini vacation, getaway for the weekend type thing. In Canada, it would be called a cottage or a lake house. A biscuit here is a cookie. Hot chips are French fries. Brekkie is breakfast. Cheers means thanks. Tea is dinner here. Bloody is a describing word, so if you were New Zealand, people would say, oh, it's bloody freezing. In Canada, you say, oh, it's really cold, it's pretty cold. Sweet as means excellent. Wee is like a measurement word, so wee is like a small amount. If you're describing like a little child, you'd say a wee child. She'll be right means that's alright, that's good, sounds good to me. I believe that's all of the slang that I have, so we can just hop right into some of the other differences that I have noticed while being here. Tipping is something that they don't do here at restaurants. Anywhere that you're getting a service done, people do not tip here. Their minimum wage is high enough that they don't necessarily need tips, but their minimum wage fits their style of living, which brings me into my next point, that it is very expensive to live here. So another thing that I've noticed here is that when you go to buy something at a store or a grocery store, the price that is stated is the price that you pay at the counter. In Canada or in America, that is not the case. Tax is not included in the price that's shown. That is only added up when you pay for it at the counter. So it's a nice surprise when you pick something up, you see the price and you think, oh great, it's only going to be $29.99. Unless you pay with a debit card, it then rounds up to the whole number. The bathroom. Here the bathroom is a separate toilet in another room with a little mini sink, and then in another room very close by there is a shower, a tub, and a counter with a sink and things like that. They are never really in the same room, which is actually quite handy. If somebody's already using the shower or the bathtub, you can always go in and use the toilet if you need to. Here it is not a washroom. You said you're going to the washroom here, they look at you funny and think, what, you're going to go wash in the washroom? No, here it is the toilet. One thing I've also noticed is that the bowl is not full of water like it is in Canada or in America. It is only the little circle down at the bottom of the toilet where the flush is, that is the only part that is full of water. Here they drive on the left side of the road. In Canada we drive on the right side of the road. It's quite strange when you go to drive and you get out and you go on the left side. You also have to end up looking the opposite way when you're going across the street, which I have had to get used to when running outside, a bit of a closer watch behind me to see which way the traffic is going. But it is a strange thing to get used to when you are driving on the left side when you're so used to driving on the right side. One thing that is very comforting when you come here to New Zealand is that it is very much like Canada here. It's a very, very small country with very Canada-like aspects. Canada has a large landmass, so much to see, so many beautiful things. There's the East Coast, the West Coast, there's mountains, there's a little bit of everything. Here in New Zealand it is very, very similar. It's all just compressed into a smaller landmass, which makes it more accessible than it is in Canada. Here in New Zealand, you can drive 2 hours and you can go from a West Coast feel to an East Coast feel just like that. You almost feel like you're at home here, especially if you're from Canada. You definitely get that really friendly vibe. You get the welcoming feeling when you're here. A funny thing that you forget if you are from another country is that you are the one with the accent, not them. It's funny when you listen to people speaking, you think, oh yeah, you've got an accent, I can hear it, and they're looking back at you like, oh, I can hear you, you have an accent too. There are so many things that are different here, so many things that are similar. Those are all the things that I have thought of. I did put a poll out on Instagram asking if people had any questions about New Zealand or about my trip, and I did get a couple of them, so I'm going to go ahead and answer them now. The first question was, what's the most adventurous thing that you have done in New Zealand? Okay, so there are so many different things to do here in New Zealand, and they're all really different on the level of how exciting they are and how dangerous and things like that. There is one thing that I've always wanted to do here. It is quite a high risk, which is bungee jumping. I, however, sadly have never bungee jumped. It has always been in my bucket list of things to do. I just haven't grown the nerve to do it yet. However, that would be probably one of the most exciting things that I would hope to do if I ever come back to New Zealand, which I definitely will be in the future. I'd say the most adventurous thing that I've done here is, and I know this may sound lame to some people, it may sound cool as others, but I would say water skiing is something that I love doing. I learned to water ski here when I was probably 6 months old, and the last time that I was here I finally learned how to ski behind the boat with 2 skis and a rope. So that was such an accomplishment for me. I really, really love doing that. The next question was, is the pool at Tafanui natural? So they were the pools, the mermaid pools. They are natural. They are naturally filled with the ocean water, and they're naturally formed like that, and they just fill up with the seawater, and then the water overflows and then just goes back into the ocean. They're absolutely beautiful, and they're natural, which is just absolutely amazing to me. Next question is, what is the food like there? The food is very similar to Canada. However, the dairy and the meat do taste different here, and I believe it's just with the grass that they're eating. I find it very, very strong, and it's especially in the meat and the dairy. Some typical New Zealand food that they have here, they have meat pies, sausage rolls, mincemeat pies, pavlova, which is a meringue dessert with whipped cream in the middle, is a very, very traditional New Zealand dessert. Cream buns are also an iconic thing here. It's just sort of it's a hot dog bun with whipped cream on the inside and some jam. You can get different flavors. You can get strawberry, chocolate. Yeah, those are really, really good. Hot chips here, very iconic. But other than that, they have mainly everything that we would have in Canada. What is the most fun in New Zealand? So honestly, if I can answer that to the best of my ability, everything is fun here. It's an absolutely amazing country. There's so much that it has to offer. There are just so many countless things that you can do with the time that you're here. We do a lot of day trips while we're here, so I find those fun. I have a really good friend here. You know, hanging out with her is just a blast as well. We've gone for picnics, we've gone to the beach, enjoying what New Zealand has to offer. I find those memories and those moments the most fun about New Zealand. What is my favorite thing that I've done in New Zealand so far is the next question. I have tried to live every single day to the fullest and trying to make the most of the time that I have here. 2 months goes extremely fast. But if I was to narrow it down into one thing, I would have to say that going to Auckland for 4 days while I was here was such an amazing time. I got to experience the North Island for the first time. It was such a tropical part of New Zealand. Last question that I have is, are you staying in the countryside or in the city? So it's a little bit of both. So Timaru is where I am right now. It is technically a city. I'd say it's about the size of St. John for those people that live in New Brunswick. It's very open. It's surrounded by Caroline Bay, which is the Pacific Ocean. I am surrounded by farmland with a city in the middle. So I think I'm going to end the video there. I hope that 1, you have learned something, 2, you have enjoyed the video, and 3, that I have not bored you. I just want to say that I am so lucky to live in Canada and in New Zealand. Feel free to leave a comment below if you've enjoyed the video. Give it a like, give it a share. I hope that you've all enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!